you're going to be under arrest. So turn around.
Okay,
Stop
let's
resisting.
not.
Stop resisting.
Okay, he's not resisting. He's giving me his phone. Okay, he's not. I understand. He's not resisting.
Put your arm behind.
There's no need for this.
Don't worry about it. You're gonna have to come with us. Don't worry.
I'm coming with you. Don't worry.
No one's resisting. No one's getting worked up.
You guys really don't need to be doing all of that.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
حبيبي كيف بدي اتصل فيك؟
Take Amy. Call Amy. She'll be
Okay.
When it comes to the case in the last couple of days, there's a gentleman named Mahmoud Khalil connected with an event that took place last year at Columbia University. However, he's currently in detention by the Trump administration. Can you give us the story on that?
That's right. So Mr. Khalil was involved in some of the protests at Columbia University related to the war in Gaza. Mr. Khalil's advocacy was primarily pro-Palestinian, and to some viewers, his opinions veered on the side of almost being pro-Hamas or outrightly pro-Hamas. His expression and his views gained the ire of many in the current Trump administration and many on both sides of the aisle. Now, that's a healthy part of the First Amendment. What we expect in our country is that no idea and no opinion is out of bounds. And if you don't like an idea, you can counteract it with an idea of your own. But what's happened over the last couple weeks and why we're incredibly concerned for the state of free speech in this country is that the Trump administration has revoked or is attempting to revoke Mr. Khalil's green card. He is a lawful permanent resident here in the United States, though he's a native of Syria. And the administration is trying to cancel his green card and deport him because they say his views on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict endanger the foreign policy of the United States. Now, to be clear, he has not been charged with a crime. He has not even been alleged by the administration to have violated any school rules. The allegation so far from this administration is that we don't like what he has to say and we're going to ship him back home. And to us, as defenders of free expression, that's unacceptable.
If he's not been charged and he's not violated any school rules, why is he in detention then?
So the administration's justification is relying on a 1950s era law in the Immigration and Nationality Act that allows the Secretary of State to personally determine that someone's views are so contrary to the foreign policy of the United States that they can be deported. So it doesn't require any evidence or even allegation of a crime. They're trying to rely on this very rarely used moribund statute to deport a permanent resident green card holder for, at this stage, nothing more than his protected expression.
The Wall Street Journal editorial mentioned your organization this morning, saying that a March 10th letter to Mr. Rubio and other officials, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression wrote that the government must not use immigration enforcement to, quote, punish and filter out ideas disfavored by the administration. Can you elaborate?
That's exactly right. We should never be in a spot where guests and visitors in our country, permanent residents, visa holders, or just people here on vacation think that once they arrive on our shores, they have to watch what they say. It's hard for me to think of any sentence less American than watch what you say or else. That's simply not how we do things here. And this is an authority that can be easily abused by either side. Imagine if President Biden tried to have Nigel Farage deported for attending the Republican National Convention. Or imagine if the George W. Bush administration tried to deport John Oliver for criticizing the Iraq War. I would imagine to many of your viewers, one or both, hopefully both of those examples are unacceptable, and it's why we need to keep and protect free expression.
Here's the Secretary of State even talking about this case yesterday. I want to play a little bit of what he had to say about it. Get your response.
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, as on a visitor's visa, okay, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student, and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with.
So that's the Secretary of State from yesterday. What's your response to that?
So
Because he even said this isn't about free speech. He even said that.
So he's wrong, and there is a whole lot going on there. This is absolutely about free speech. Now, one thing is important. The executive branch does have significantly more discretion in deciding who to allow into the country in the first place. So he's right when he says that when we decide whether to give you a visa, the executive branch traditionally has more authority to decide whether or not to let you in. That is an accurate statement of the law. Where he goes wrong is first conflating advocacy for an organization and conflating that with illegal acts that that organization might do and trying to pin the speaker with the illegal acts of others. That's a big problem. And the second problem, and this is the more fundamental problem and why free speech is implicated, is the idea in the United States has always been that there is no idea too dangerous for you to express on these shores. And I'll give you an example. In Thomas Jefferson's first inaugural address in 1801, he took time in that address to defend the right of people who called for the dissolution of the Union, who called for that the United States just simply shouldn't exist. And he said that in our country, in our republic, the way to counteract an idea you don't like is with another idea, to use reason and logic to show the wrongness of somebody else's arguments rather than trying to use the strong arm of government to silence them. That's why this implicates free speech, and that's where the Secretary of State, in our view, is going wrong.
And just before we start taking calls, are you representing Mr. Khalil directly?
We are not.